Hello everyone! It took me quite long to do this video now, but today we are talking about how you get mobile internet for your holiday in Germany and where you can buy it, how to set it up, what different possibilities you have, what network providers there are, what are the best ones, what are the cheapest ones, and how you can easily set it up when you just arrive at Frankfurt Airport, for example. And it's also some general information about the cell phone network system in Germany. So let's dive right in. But first, there are some bad news. As you can see here in this overview, mobile internet and especially data is very expensive in Germany compared to other European states. So this graphic shows you how much 4G gigabytes you can buy with 30 euros. And if you go to Germany, for 30 euros, you only get like 30 gigabyte of 4G mobile internet. Whereas if you go to our neighboring countries, like let's say the Netherlands, for 30 euros you already get unlimited internet. But just so that you have a general overview about the mobile internet prices in Germany, it's quite expensive, but I think it's still okay, especially if you only come for a holiday and you need like 1 to 5 gigs, it won't kill you. Another thing we can say about this graphic right here is that since I think 2 years, you can now use the mobile internet you bought with your German provider. You can use it in the whole European Union, but there are also some difficulties now, because you could technically go and buy an unlimited tariff in the Netherlands, for example, for kind of cheap money, and then just use it in Germany. So that's not possible. There are specific terms in your contract or in your prepaid tariff that only allow for a certain percentage of your mobile internet to be used outside of the country you bought the package in. So, for example, if you would buy the unlimited package in the Netherlands and would use this data in Germany, you might only be able to use like 2 gigs of data, even though you technically booked the unlimited tariff in the Netherlands. Outside of the Netherlands, you can then only use a certain amount of this capacity. So we are mainly going to focus on prepaid SIM cards, because I think that's the most convenient way and also the safest way. So you can't really do much wrong. That's why we basically focus ourselves on prepaid tariffs. So as an introduction, we basically have 3 big network providers and 3 big networks in Germany for mobile internet. The first one is T-Mobile, like the Telekom. It's the best one, the coverage is the best, but it's also the most expensive one. After that, we have Vodafone, pretty well known in other countries as well. It's the second best network, but it's also the second most expensive. And then we have what we call O2, like Telefonica or A+. It's all the same. Like whenever you hear Telefonica, A+ or O2, it's basically all the same network, and that's the third network of internet providers in Germany. It's the network with the least best coverage, but it's also the cheapest one, as we will see later. So always keep that in mind. This is basically the 3 categories. Category 1, T-Mobile, Telekom is the best network. It's also called D1 network. Then you get Vodafone, D2 network. And then you have the third best, O2, E Plus Telefonica network. So that's always good to keep in mind if you compare one or two tariff to a Telekom tariff, so that you know that you might get better coverage and higher speeds with the Telekom card, and that's maybe why it's more expensive. All in all, as you can also see here, the market shares are basically everyone gets a third of the market. But there are many subcontractors who use the Telecom nets or the O2 net or the Vodafone net. You will also see that in the coming slides. One more general thing you could keep in mind is that basically all prepaid tariffs in Germany are flat rates, but it's not really unlimited. It's a flat rate, but it's called a flat rate, but you only have like 1, 2, 5 or 10 gigs of unlimited speed. When you reach that level of 1, 2 or 10 gigabytes of high speed, when you have reached that level, your speed will decrease to about 60 kbits. So it will become significantly slower, and you can't really do much with these speeds anymore. You can obviously also send WhatsApp messages with this speed. You can also send images on WhatsApp and voice notes. You might even be able to hold a WhatsApp phone call on that reduced speed, but you can't really watch YouTube videos. You can still browse a little bit, but it's really slow. But for WhatsApp messaging, that's completely fine. You will basically not see any difference between the high speed, the LTE, and the reduced speed when you just send messages back home or to people that also live here. So just generally keep that in mind. That's why it's called flat rate. You basically have internet for the whole period you booked for. So the period basically is either 1 month or 4 weeks. But keep in mind that after you reach that level you booked for, like let's say for example 1 gig, the speed gets reduced significantly. Okay, so let's proceed to my first option, and that would be a discount food market called Aldi. There's Aldi Süd in Germany and there's Aldi North. So Aldi Süd you can find basically if you half Germany, and in the south in the lower half there is Aldi Süd, and in the upper half like Hamburg, Berlin, there's Aldi North. But for the telephone service, which is called Aldi Talk, there's no difference between those. So I'm showing you a picture of a typical Aldi Süd store. They recently changed their logo, so now it looks like this, but you can still see many places that look like this. But I think the logo is pretty similar anyway, so you won't have troubles to find them. Speaking of that, I just open a map of Germany. You can just search for Aldi and then your region. Let's say you land in Frankfurt. And as you can see, the coverage of Aldi stores in Germany is pretty good. You can also go to other places, like just some random place now. Let's zoom in here and refresh. Even here, So what you basically do is you can go into one of those stores. For example, here in Frankfurt, the airport is here. There's no Aldi market at the airport directly. That's also worth pointing out. But within like also more countryside areas of Germany, there you can basically always find some Aldi stores. And you can get the Aldi Talk package, which I'm going to talk about. You can get it in every Aldi store. So talking of Aldi Talk, as I said already, you can get Aldi Talk in both Aldi South stores, which is also called Aldi Süd, that's a German word for south, or Aldi North stores. Their logo looks like this. And what you could basically ask for or basically get is the Aldi Talk starter set. Just want to point out that I translated all these websites with Google Translate, so they are not originally English. That's why there are some German words in here. So it's just to let you know, so that you don't get confused. So this starter pack costs about 13 euros. And with this 13 euros, you also get 10 euros of starting credit. So you only actually pay for the SIM cards and the whole contract and so on, the papers. You pay like 3 euros. Speaking of the SIM card, in every starter pack, there's a triple SIM card included. Triple SIM card means, like as you can see here, there's micro SIM, there's mini SIM, and there's like the normal SIM card, if I'm not mistaken. So, but this set has got you completely covered. So you don't need to like ask for another size of SIM card. There should be a SIM card for every phone already included in this set. So you get this set. But then it's getting a little bit complicated, because since I think like 2 or 3 years ago, also for prepaid cards, you have to register yourself. You have to identify yourself. So that I think the reason was that you can't communicate anonymously with prepaid SIM cards anymore. So that's why with every new SIM card that's also registered on a prepaid basis, you have to identify yourself. And that's why when you get any kind of phone contract or prepaid card in Germany, always bring your ID card or your passport. That's very important. So as you can see, it's you buy this starting set for 13 euros and you're already getting 10 euros of starting credit. Next up, you can see that this contract right here is based on it's no contract, it's a prepaid SIM, but this service is based on the E+ network, which is the same as the O2 network. So it's the network with the least best coverage, but I'm using that service since, I don't know, like forever. I've been using this for 7 years now, and for me it's always been okay. Of course, it's not high speed. It's like normal speed. You can even check the actual speed here. It's up to 21.6 Mbits in download and up to 8.6 Mbits in upload. And after you reach that level, like you can see the different packages here. Like for example, package S includes 1.5 gigs of high-speed data. After you exceeded this amount of data, you can only surf with 56 kbits of speed until the end of the 4 weeks. So as I said before, you first have to register your SIM card, and the second step is to identify yourself. And the problem with many German prepaid SIM cards, you can get at food stores, discounters, grocery shops, is the second step of identification, at least for people that don't live in Germany, because identification at other stores, most of the time it requires you to go to an online platform and to video ident. So basically you video chat with someone and you place your ID card in the webcam, so this person checks that the person on the ID is really you, and then he verifies that. But obviously for that service you need internet, and when you freshly arrive in Germany and you want to get internet, then you don't have internet already. So that's why I think Aldi Talk is a quite good solution, because you can go into this store, you buy the starter pack, and you can directly do the registration and the identification in store. So you walk out of the store and you're done. You book your package and you have internet. So for identification here, you can also use the video chat as displayed here, or there's another option you can do, but then you would have to register yourself first on the internet or by phone, but phone is the same. Yeah, you also don't have access to any mobile phone yet, because your SIM cards you just bought is not registered yet. And then you would have to walk to a postal service station and they would do the identification. But okay, let's forget about that. You go into the store, buy the starter pack, and then you ask for registration and identification in the very same store you just bought the starter pack. Then they will register everything for you, and you will also have to identify yourself with your passport or ID card. So very important, you can only have the identification, and your SIM card can only get activated if you can identify yourself with a passport or ID card. And just for clarification, it's displayed here. You can also just go to any Aldi South branch of your choice for the identification. And what you obviously have to bring is your valid ID and the PIN or BUK letter with the SIM card. But if you just bought the starter package in store, then you obviously have it with you still, hopefully. Yeah, I will just give you a brief example also on how to... Okay, no, but let's first look at the tariffs. So there's basically internet flat rates, and there's combined flat rates, so that also include telephone communication. But I guess if you come to Germany as for holiday or as a visitor, you don't really need to call that many people, and even if you need to call someone, maybe you can call them on WhatsApp and do it therefore through the internet. So you don't really need an extra voice service. Yeah, so that's why we're having a look at the internet flat rates first. For example, internet flat rate M includes 1 gig of high-speed internet. After that, the speed of your internet gets reduced, and that's for basically €7 per 4 weeks. So not per month, but for 4 weeks, which is 28 days. That's 1 gig of data, or you get 2.5 gigs of high-speed data for €10. Maybe that's the perfect fit for your holiday. I don't know what you want to do. Or you even get the XL flat rate for €15, which includes 5.5 gigs of high-speed data. And also always keep in mind, if you're here, finish the 1 gig of high-speed data, you still have data. You can still message your friends back home on WhatsApp, but you can't stream something. It's generally slower. You can't really send videos on WhatsApp. you can't watch YouTube, and yeah. But there's also combination packages that also include unlimited phone calls. Yeah, you can judge yourself if you need that, and you can book whatever you want. If you got the starter package activated, for example, keep in mind that you already have 10 euros of credit. So just by getting the starter package, let's go back to the internet flat rates. You just bought the starter package, and then you could buy the 2.5 gigs of high-speed internet with that for 4 weeks, and maybe that's even enough for your complete holiday if you're only here for 4 weeks or less, and then you're fine. Yes, so that's just I will put all the links down into the description. Always keep in mind that you have to translate these websites with Google Translate, since there is no real English version of the websites, no official one. Here I just found a file that tells you after what amount of time your SIM cards get. So your SIM card gets deactivated, because obviously with every prepaid SIM card, it gets deactivated after a certain amount of month without using it. But yeah, it's pretty complicated. But I don't think that you shouldn't worry too much about it. Okay. Yeah, that's just to tell you how you would recharge your balance on the prepaid SIM card. You also go to the Aldi South or North store again, and you basically get one of these credit cards that give you either 5, 15 or 30 euros of credit. And then there's also multiple ways of really getting that credit onto your SIM card again. You can either call a number and then you have to dial in a specific code, or you go to the Aldi Talk app on your smartphone and you put in this specific code you get when you buy such a card. Or you can actually also directly top up your credit within the Aldi Talk app, but then you would have to put down your credit card details. Yeah, and that's basically how it looks like at the counter. So you can always ask for a starter package or more credit. You want to recharge, top up your credit. That's what it looks like. Okay, next up we are going to talk about network coverage of O2. Keep in mind that Aldi Talk was part of the O2 network, so you can check the network coverage on an online map. Maybe there's a specific place you want to go to and check if the network coverage is good there or is sufficient. You can do that at the link I will put up in the info card. So talking of O2, they also offer prepaid fares. For example, there's a O2 My Prepaid S tariff where you get 1.5 gigs of data and then an all-net flat as well, and that's for 10 euros for 4 weeks. The nice thing about O2 can be that there's a O2 shop directly at Frankfurt Airport, so you can do it right in there. You can also get the location, the exact location of this O2 shop. I think it's in Terminal 1. So you can even then walk out of the airport having a good and not too expensive prepaid SIM card. What also might be interesting for you if you need a lot of data is the O2 free S, generally the O2 free tariffs. So what is special about the O2 free tariffs? You basically can choose, as for all the other prepaid SIM cards as well, how much high-speed data you want to get. So you can choose between 1 and 10 gigs of high-speed data. But the significant difference with O2 free is that after you've reached that level, after you consumed 1 gig or 2 or 10 gigs of data, of high-speed data, you won't get reduced to a very low speed level. You get reduced, but it's still a decent kind of speed where you can still watch YouTube videos with, you can still upload images on WhatsApp or on any other service. You can do quite a lot still with 1000 kilobytes per second. So basically the reduced speed at O2 free is 10 times faster than your regular reduced speed. Yeah. Obviously it's also more expensive, even though if you just buy 1 gig of data, of high-speed data, and you obviously want to get a prepaid card with no minimum duration, your monthly charge is going to be 25 euros. But you also have to keep in mind that's basically an unlimited YouTube streaming for 4 weeks. It's not really an unlimited high-speed contract or unlimited high-speed fare. There is also unlimited high-speed fares or contracts in Germany, but they cost around between 60 and 80 euros a month. And you would also have to go to Vodafone or Telekom for that. Okay, so next up would be Telekom, so the king of all cellular networks in Germany in terms of speed and network coverage, but also in terms of pricing. So here you get 2 gigs of high-speed data for 15 euros, which can be considered quite expensive, but you also get 200 minutes to other German networks. And you get a hotspot flat rate for Telekom's hotspots, but I don't really know how good the experience there is. So that's definitely the best network and the best coverage and the best speed, but it's also the highest price, and you will have to visit a Telekom store. Their logo looks like, you can find it here, to get a prepaid SIM card from them. You can also have a look at the Telekom coverage on this side. I'll also put it up in the info cards, and you can select you want to just see 4G networks, or you want to see 3G is maybe also fine for you. And then you see, okay, I wanted to go to this place around Magdeburg, so I don't really have coverage there, so let's maybe take another network. Speaking of another network, let's get to number 2, which is Vodafone. Vodafone is also pretty good coverage, pretty good speeds. I think you can also check for your specific location if you want to, but generally speaking, it's the second best coverage of cell phone networks in Germany, second best speed, and second highest price. They also have prepaid tariffs like here. You can just pause the video if you like to and read through the specs yourself. Then another possibility, another food retail shop, grocery shop would be Rewe, the Rewe chain. I'm also opening up Frankfurt here because they also have a shop at Frankfurt Airport. It's not directly at the airport, but if you zoom in, it's called the Square. Like you just have to walk through a bridge, over a bridge, and you're at the Square at Frankfurt Airport Center. And that's basically how the store there looks like. You want to memorize their logo maybe. And you can get D1, like Telekom network there. That's their prepaid tariffs and their prices. You might as well, again, pause the video and read through the specs. Again, that's the best network you can get. But in terms of speed, here it's capped at 32 megabytes per second. So that's why it's also a little bit cheaper than the original on the original Telekom website. But the best coverage anyway. So we have been talking about activation and registration of your SIM card before, and here I want to just give you the example that I think for foreigners and people who do vacation here, that's a little bit more inconvenient than doing the Aldi Talk version, because here you also obviously have to validate your SIM card, and you also have to activate it, and you have to identify yourself. But identifying yourself here only works online, and that's pretty stupid because you don't have internet yet maybe, or you, of course, if you have a hotspot at your accommodation, then you can also do that, or you have to walk to another physical store, and that has to be a Deutsche Post, so a German post office store, to do the identification. Yeah, you can decide yourself what you want to do. Yeah, that's just one more example of a flat rate they offer. Prepaid Smart, 1.5 gigs and flat minutes in all German cell phone networks for €8. And again, I'm still talking about, don't get confused by the term Kongstar here. Kongstar is a partner of so basically, coming back, Mobil is the cell phone network of Rewe, the grocery store, and they are partnering with Kongstar, and Kongstar is a subsidiary of Telekom, so just telling you you're on the best network, but you don't get the highest speed because it's limited to 33 megabytes per second. Next, grocery food retailer option would be Lidl. It's also a discount shop. Their stores look like this. Coverage again is pretty the same for all the grocery shops. It's everywhere in Germany you go, basically have good coverage. And then it's pretty similar to the Aldi Talk, except for Aldi Talk was operating in the third best network, the O2 network, while Lidl Connect is operating in the Vodafone network, so the second best network. That's why it's also sometimes a little bit more expensive, but the prices actually are pretty fair. As you can see here, for example, it actually isn't more expensive than the Aldi Talk version. But coming back again to the identification problem, here you can't identify yourself within the Lidl shop you just bought the starter pack, but you have to go to a post office or do a video call, which is pretty inconvenient if you don't have internet yet. Okay, the last possibility I can give you is another food retailer. this case it's Edeka, and they also offer a phone package, as you can see down here. It's in the package, it's in the network of Telekom again, so again the best network with the best speeds. And here the speeds are not limited as it was for the Rewe version. Here it was limited to 33 Mbit. Here it's only limited to 300. Here it's, the limit is way higher, but it's also a little bit more expensive. And but here again, the identification problem, you can't register, you can't identify yourself in the Edeka store, but you have to visit another postal office or do the video ident procedure to activate your SIM card and to be actually able to use it. This is it. I hope you learned something from that. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I tried to find a middle way between doing a really in-depth one and a just surface one. I think you got the structure of the German cell phone networks right now, and you basically know what to look for and what are the difference between the specific networks in terms of speed, cost, and network coverage. So if the video helped you, give me a comment, and if you have questions, also give me a comment, or maybe leave me a like, and thank you very much for watching.